You know the drill. The drop, the mad scramble, and then that sudden, super frustrating trip right back to the lobby. We've all been there. But what if those first few chaotic minutes weren't just about luck? What if it's all about a strategy that you just haven't unlocked yet? Well, today, we're going to build that strategy and we're going to set you up for the win.
Man, that feeling can just ruin a whole gaming session, right? But here's the thing. Most of those early eliminations, they aren't because of bad luck or even because you're not a good shot. Nope, they're usually because of a flawed strategy. So let's dive in and build a formula that turns that early game panic into early game dominance.
All right, first things first, we've got to understand the problem. I call it the early game trap. And it's this really predictable pattern of mistakes that catches, honestly, even the most experienced players off guard sometimes.
You know that feeling I'm talking about? The sound of footsteps everywhere, people landing right on your roof, everyone just desperately searching for a weapon? That chaos? It's a test. And making just one wrong move in that initial scramble is the absolute fastest way to lose all your momentum for the entire match.
And I'm willing to bet these mistakes look pretty familiar. We either chase glory, drop into some crazy hot zone and get totally wiped out instantly, or we play it way too safe, land in the middle of nowhere, and then just get steamrolled by the first squad we meet that's actually geared up. Both of these extremes, they come from the exact same problem, not having a clear, balanced plan.
So, how do we escape this trap? Look, forget all those complex, pro-level tactics for now. We are going to focus on 3 simple, golden rules that are going to completely change how you play the early game.
And here it is, the whole strategy at a glance. Your drop, your loot, and your plan. That's it. It all comes down to these 3 things. They seem simple, I know, but trust me, mastering them is what separates an early exit from a late-game fight for the win.
Let's break down rule number 1. Forget those high-profile, super hot zones you see in all the highlight reels. The smart play is actually a mid-tier location. Somewhere you can gear up and get prepared, not just jump into an immediate, messy fight.
So what exactly is a mid-tier loot area? It's simple, really. It's just a spot with enough gear to give you a solid foundation, a decent weapon, some protection, maybe a few healing items. The goal isn't to find legendary loot right off the bat. It's to find enough loot so you can actually survive your first encounter.
Okay, on to rule number 2, and this one is all about speed. Once you're on the ground, you cannot waste a single second. You have to be ruthlessly efficient, focusing only on the things that make you combat ready.
And this is what I mean. You grab a weapon for close-range fights, you grab one for medium to long range, and you grab any healing items you see. That's it. That is the holy trinity. All those attachments and grenades, that's a luxury for later. Get these 3 things and you are ready to move.
And this brings us to our final rule, and honestly, this might be the most important one of all. Players who win are proactive, not reactive. From the second your boots hit the ground, you should already be thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead.
You can't just wander around aimlessly. Every single move you make has to have a purpose. You need a path in your head. Okay, I'm going to loot these 2 houses, then I'm going to rotate towards the circle using that ridge over there for cover. That kind of forward thinking, that's what separates the survivors from the statistics.
All right, so we've covered the theory. Now let's see what this looks like in a real-world scenario. Because the difference is, well, it's night and day.
So on the left, you've got the typical scramble, dropping right into the heart of the chaos, panicking, grabbing whatever, and getting eliminated. But on the right, we have our strategy, landing on the edge, looting methodically to get that holy trinity, and then moving with an actual purpose. See, this player isn't just surviving anymore. They're now in a position of power, ready to pick off all the panicked players who are still scrambling around.
And please, do not mistake this for luck. The player on the right didn't win that engagement because they were a better shot. They won because they were smarter. They controlled the chaos instead of letting the chaos control them.
By following these 3 simple rules, you're not just avoiding an early defeat, you are actively laying the groundwork for a win every single match.
And that's really the bottom line here. I mean, having great aim helps, of course it does, but having a great strategy is what wins games. When you play smarter, you create way more opportunities to let your skills shine when it actually counts.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Think about your own games. What's your biggest early game mistake? Are you a hot dropper? An aimless wanderer? Just identifying that habit is the first step to breaking it. Master these rules, and I promise you, you won't just be surviving the early game, you'll be dominating it.